file. Today we have with us Mr. Neeraj Kumar. He is the former police commissioner. He's also been a joint director in the CBI. He is a police officer with 37 years experience, and I think probably the only police officer who's had a very eventful career. He's had the toughest of cases in CBI and in Delhi Police, and he belongs to the AGM UT cadre, formerly the UT cadre. So he's been a DGP in Goa, and probably the only police officer who can go to Goa and cover the underbelly of Goa, which everybody thinks is just a beach holiday place. So today we are discussing his book, which he has written about his various cases, Khaki Files. We're going to talk to him about it. And he has covered very interesting cases which he has covered during his career. Basically, these are Delhi police cases, isn't
Yes,
it?
most of them is.
Yeah. So Khaki Files, we'll talk to him about it. So welcome, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you.
So, sir, you have covered lots of cases, and during your last stint, you covered the Nirbhaya case. And I'm starting with Nirbhaya because that is again in the news now. And now the death sentence has again been announced. March 3rd is the date. And what are your thoughts about that case? Has that been the most challenging case ever for you in terms of the political pressure you faced, in terms of the public sentiment, and also in terms of the sheer brutality of the case?
Yeah, it has been one of the most challenging because the kind of urgency that was required to crack the case has never been the same in any other case. I mean, the entire prestige of the Delhi police and police in general and my own was at stake. If we had not cracked the case that quickly, then all hell would have broken loose on the police and on me. So we were working under tremendous pressure, and the way the investigation was conducted in a professional manner and the way the field work was done, people went to far off places, got the accused, and under very adverse circumstances. That is remarkable and a story worth.
You've given all the details in the book, in that chapter. There's a big chapter on that. And especially I saw that where the policemen had to cross the river, and some of them were not even tall enough, and they had to carry their weapons over their heads.
Yes, yeah, that was something. And you also spoke about the political situation. There was, of course, a great uproar from the public, and justifiably so, because it was a very heinous and brutal case. And it was a woman in the capital in South Delhi being raped in that brutal manner, which ultimately led to her death. So, if the public was angry, I mean, they can't be blamed for it. But how the politics unfolded at that point of time, that was again something which was unique, absolutely unique. And the pressures that were put on me were something else.
And that was just before your retirement, so I'm sure you wanted to retire with a swan song and not...
Yes, I wanted to sign off on a high note, and here I was virtually down in the dumps, and I had to salvage my own position and also lead the force which was under tremendous attack and come out of it. And by God's grace, we did.
So another case where I think you did not investigate but where you filed a charge sheet, Sanjeev Chawla case, which you've not mentioned here, and but now even he's been extradited. So what do you think of that? Do you think the investigation was done properly, that everything the way it has happened, or should he have been extradited earlier?
See, I've written about it in my first book, Dial D for Dawn. This case could have been charge-sheeted several years back. It happened in the year 2000, and I was Commissioner of Police in 2012-13, and in 2013 we cracked the spot fixing case in IPL. And it was after we had cracked the case that somebody from the media informed me that no charge sheet had been filed in the first case. I didn't believe that person. I made inquiries, but he was right. So it had already been 13 years.
Yeah.
So we traced the file, it was lying somewhere. Then we virtually reconstructed everything, got hold of all the investigating officers through whose hands the case file had gone, and prepared the charge sheet and filed it. We filed it on the 30th of July, and 31st July I retired. But having served in the CBI, I knew that at least one accused, main accused, that Sandeep Chawla, he is still alive, still available, unlike Hansi Cronje who had died. So the logical thing to do would have been to send an extradition request. Now, I had already retired, I had left. It was not quite easy to kind of follow up with the Delhi police that it should be an extradition request should be sent. But luckily, the officers in charge in the crime branch, there were people who had worked with me. So I sounded them, and they said, "No, sir, we'll prepare the extradition request." I said, "If you need any help, I know people in the CBI who can help you, but it must be done." So, as you know, the extradition goes through a very circuitous route. It goes through the Delhi government, Lieutenant Governor, the court, and then from the court it goes to Ministry of Home Affairs and External Affairs. Then it goes to our High Commission in London, then it goes to the Home Office, and then from the Home Office to the court, Westminster Court. Anyhow, we had to push it at every stage. And the biggest hurdle came in the Ministry of External Affairs. But fortunately, we overcame it. And thank God, all our effort.
So it was because you had done a stint in CBI and police, and where you had handled the Hansi Cronje case. And then again, later towards the end, you were also anti-corruption head for the BCCI also.
Yes, so I had the necessary exposure to do it. But people would get the feeling that it was something routine, that a case was there, it was charge sheeted, and an extradition request was sent in routine. And,
so we've done our bit now.
But it was not in routine. One had to go the extra mile and pursue it. And I'm happy that all those efforts have shown results ultimately.
So in this book, you have taken lots of cases. So many of them are star cases, like the lottery case and everything. And you also mentioned that the monograph which you made at that time is still the thing which the police depends upon. So that has been one of your satisfying investigations. What else? And also the one which you mentioned about the Kacha Banyan gang, the gang which the erstwhile criminal tribe gang. So even now, have they been the most satisfying investigation in the sense, because I read you have gone to the sociological aspect also, that why do they do this and all. So I've seen that you go the extra mile to make that thing easier for probably the future police officers. So is that a thing that you do for all your cases, or?
See, you don't do the sociological aspect of a case in routine, in every case. But in this case, in the serial killings with dacoity and robbery, we had no clue. And we were at a complete loss as to what to do. Then it struck me that, a certain gang which belonged to a certain erstwhile criminal tribe had indulged in crime in other districts, and there a certain implement of housebreaking had been used, and the tribe was a certain tribe, erstwhile criminal tribe. So I said, let's go and study then, and that is how I sent an officer who went and carried out a detailed study and came back, and sure enough, it is because of that study that the breakthrough came.
Yes.
So a police officer or an investigator should be prepared to adopt new ways and new strategies to crack a case. And this is one of the few cases where a sociological study resulted in a breakthrough.
I just another thing. There was this the Luck report which you have mentioned in this, and also among the various agencies, like when the intelligence agency was the scene of the information about your information. Do these often come in a way of a professional working, professional police working? In the sense you mentioned the rivalries between the departments. In the
I got a point.
yeah.
It does work, and to some extent, it is a human fable. But amongst agencies, it should be kept as low as possible. I mean, inter-agency or personal rivalries should not come in the way of cases which involve national interest.
Correct.
But, well, there was some problem in this case as well, but we managed to get over it, and thank God the case was prevented, because had the...
Generally, we never come to know about the cases that have been prevented.
Yes, yeah. So, can you imagine if the terror attack at India Gate would have actually happened, what would have been the impact? India and Pakistan would have certainly gone to war. They were already kind of eyeball to eyeball on the frontiers, and this would have certainly, and you can imagine what damage a war can do. So none of us realizes that a good piece of work done by the police can prevent so many things from happening.
And I think the police never gets enough credit for that, for things that have been prevented.
None whatsoever, none whatsoever.
Achha, sir, you also investigated the Mumbai blasts, and especially the one which you have mentioned here, the train blasts. And one thing that I found interesting in that, which I'm going to ask you, you mentioned meeting the Hyderabad Police Commissioner, Mr. H.G. Dora, who you describe as a true leader, not scared of standing up to political pressure, the sort of cop they no longer make. So what kind of cops are being made now? I mean, we all know what has happened in Delhi, how the Jamia case was handled, how JNU case was handled, and the police has received a lot of criticism for that. So,
yeah, one can't make a sweeping statement, but nonetheless, what one sees with certain amount of anguish all around, especially in state governments, that the police do not enforce the rule of law. They enforce the rule of the ruling party, which is very, very unfortunate. And they can be forced to do various things which they would not normally do, which is very, very unfortunate. It's not something very new. It was happening in West Bengal during the CPI government. It has happened in other states as well. It was happening even down south. But in Delhi, it has been a recent phenomenon. And it is really worrying, because Delhi is one place where the police is more or less independent. Thanks to the system of, shall we say, no control from the local government, Delhi government, we are, monitored and supervised by the central government, which has so many other more important things to do. So they don't, they are not very bothered about micromanagement of the police. So you are more or less left to yourself. But then, are you doing what you should be doing, or are you for every little thing turning to, your superiors for orders? That is the moot question, and that is the unfortunate part of it, because one gets the sense that the police are not dealing with matters on their merit, but on account of certain instructions that have come from quarters, from where the instructions are not required. And given my understanding and as a commissioner of police, I know that day-to-day working, the Home Ministry or the Home Minister does not interfere. And but if you start seeking orders from there, then it becomes a totally different ballgame.
Yeah. Some food for thought for the current police officers. Actually, talking about taking orders, you have the Shahabuddin case also, which you have mentioned, and I think which you did not, which did not culminate to your satisfaction since you could not arrest him. So there was immense. There you saw the nexus between the political parties, the police, and the local goons. Will you just tell us something about that case, because that's also a very interesting chapter in this.
See, in this particular case, I was in the CBI, but this case was not with the CBI. It was with the Delhi Police Special Cell. But informally, I was associated with the investigation. And there I spot this man in an aircraft, in the same flight as I had taken from Patna to Delhi.
And he was a sitting MP at that time.
Sitting member of parliament, but nonetheless, I mean, he was an accused in the case. And he was required to be interrogated and he had been absconding. So I thought it was the ideal situation in which the Delhi police could come and pick him up from the airport. And from that point of view, I did everything I could to inform the police, and gave them the seat numbers of the member of parliament and his assistant and so on and so forth.
And this was in days before mobile phones, or mobile phones?
Mobile phones had come, but they were not there in every city or in every place. For instance, they were not there in Ranchi. Mobile telephony was not there in Ranchi. So, but again, orders were sought because it was a member of parliament and various political issues were involved. So it seems orders were sought and orders were not granted, because of which the man could not be picked up at that point of time. But mercifully now he is in jail, paying a price for all the wrongs he has done.
So is it still quite rampant, this nexus between political parties, the so-called strong men, goons, whatever you may call them, and the police?
I should think so, because muscle power as much as money power is a very important factor in the electoral politics of India. So these Bahubalis, as they are called, play a very important role in the politics of India.
I just said there's a very poignant chapter in this. That is about your stint when you were the DG prisons, Tihar jail, where you encountered a person, an accused called Manjeet Singh, and who was there because he had murdered somebody who had helped you, an advocate who had helped you when nobody else did, Baba Gurcharan Singh. And yet you helped him get parole when nobody else had done. So what I wanted to ask you I think you got a sentence commuted.
Yes.
So Tihar is a place to reform prisoners. After sending some dreaded criminals and terrorists there yourself, is it easy to get that kind of a compassion which you did? Because all your life you spent sending criminals to jail, and there when you encounter one of the accused, and yet you have that compassion and empathy for him.
It is not easy. It's not easy, but when you become the head of prisons, you suddenly begin to see everything in a different perspective. You are on the other side of the law, Those same people you have arrested, you see them in flesh and blood every day, and you see what they are doing, what has been their record, have they tried to reform themselves, what special efforts they have made to acquire new skills to educate themselves and all. So here was a case where the man for 19 years had been in jail. He had not come to adverse notice even once. He had educated himself. He had become a graduate. He was teaching other inmates. And therefore, there was no reason, nobody would gain any more by keeping him inside after a lapse of 90 years of sentence. And the law provides for commutation. That means the remaining part of his life sentence can be commuted and he can be allowed to go. So much as I was kind of upset and angry with him, but gradually I overcame that feeling. I was surprised at myself when this transformation happened. But it happened, and I thought it is my duty to ensure that his side of the story somebody pleaded before the sentence review board. And as DG Prisons, I did that. And fortunately, for him, my recommendations were accepted.
And have you kept track? What is he doing now?
Yes, he does keep in touch with me, and he does occasionally call me up and tell me what all he's doing.
So he's been out of trouble.
Yes, he has been out of trouble, and no complaint has come to light against him.
So we mentioned in the beginning about your stint in Goa. So there's a very interesting chapter, Goan Rhapsody, and you had a very short stint there because, understandably, because you were, I think, got on the wrong side of powerful people. So I don't think anybody else has gone there and actually tried to cover that underbelly. We all keep hearing about drugs being rampant and everything, these parties and everything, rave parties. But you are the only one who actually went and tried to stop them. What kind of resistance did you face in that?
As I've written in the book, the resistance was very strong because the political leaders at that point of time were openly in support of these illegal activities, and it was quite horrifying that how brazenly they would come forward. They'll come to your office and say that a member of the Legislative Assembly telling me that I'm going to have a rave party in my house
And I want security?
and I'll see what you can do.
Challenge, basically
Yes,
a challenge at you.
I said, well, you try it. So of course I didn't want to send my men to his house, but I blocked the passage to his house at a little distance, and all we did was started checking papers of people who were to come. And when people realized that the police is there and they're checking travel documents, they just kind of disappeared. So, and the leader was very upset that how come I had done this. In fact, I was ruining the reputation of Goa as a tourist place. So this is one interesting experience of my career.
So after all these years and everything, and after facing resistance, facing all kinds of pressures and everything, you still think it's better to take on the system or be part of the same unscrupulous system like many people do?
I can speak for myself, I can't speak for everybody. I think I will sleep better if I take them on. Even though the risks are very high, you can be in trouble, you can be transferred, you can be, all kinds of things can be done to you, but I will be at peace with myself if I take them on. If they are asking me to do something which is out and out illegal.
That's really nice. Thank you so much. And will we see another book now after this?
I'm trying to write another book.
Would you like to say what it is about?
I'm trying to write about my stint in the BCCI as the chief of the anti-corruption security unit, and about the corruption in cricket and what are the stakes and so on and so forth.
That will be something. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.